everyone. Happy fall. My name is Jill Lawrence, and on behalf of NCTV, I am here with Kim Williams from the Kim Williams team. Welcome.
Hi, Jill. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. Well, we're so thrilled that you are joining us today as a platinum sponsor for the annual NCL Duck Derby, which is
I'm happy to have that opportunity to
yeah.
sponsor the event. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. So the Duck Derby is an annual event now in Norfolk. It's sponsored by the Norfolk Community League, NCL, and it's held every year at Stony Brook, Audubon. And it's really fun. And most years in the early fall, in September, it's held as an in-person event. I know, and it's with everyone watching their ducks go down the Stony Brook, and it's very exciting to see, who the winners are going to be. And I know usually the sponsors, like, you get to have, you have a booth and you get to chat with the public and, with the participants and meet new people and have like a nice one of those, nice contacts and nice time with meeting people. And this year, unfortunately, here we are. I feel like this is the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show version, because every time I turned him on, because I love him, but every time I turned him on in the spring, I would get a little depressed because I'm like, oh my God, he's still in his house. He's still in his house.
That weird house of his.
Yes. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun, interesting, but I really did. You miss the interaction, and
energy. Yeah.
So as we were saying, that normally you would be at the event as a platinum sponsor, and you'd be interacting with the community. And so I want to just say that we really appreciate you not only being a platinum sponsor again this year, but also be willing to do it virtually like this and being on this little interview, so that people that don't know you can get to know you better.
Thank you. Well, it's a great opportunity for me, and we will miss Janet and I. Janet is one of my teammates. Okay. Generally, we're there. We sometimes bring our family. But it's always been a wonderful event. It just happens to be on always a nice sunny day. I don't know how you guys do it. And the energy that the event brings, and it gives us an opportunity really to, meet people in the community. The kids are especially a lot of fun. We try to have an activity for the kids. The things kids will say, I love it. A couple of years ago when we were there, a little guy came over to me. He was about 7 years old, and he said, "Hey, I know you." He said, Your face is everywhere. You're always in my mailbox. And I'm like, oh, you must be in my mailing farm.
Yes, right.
But they're so sweet. And so I think, for me, I've lived in Norfolk for about 25 years. Janet, who's on my team, has lived in Norfolk for probably about 23 years. She just recently moved to Medfield. And then Diane, who's our home stager, has been here longer than all of us.
Oh, wow.
So we're a very Norfolk-centric team. And, to me, it's always been about community. So as soon as I moved to Norfolk 25 years ago, I grew up in the city.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
And,
that must have been
our community was it was quite different. So our community was centered around, our parish life or, the school community. So as soon as I came here, we were unpacking boxes, and a lovely woman from the Welcome Wagon, which I don't think we do in Norfolk anymore,
Not exactly.
rang the doorbell, and she had a directory for me and coupons and cookies, and it was fantastic. And I said at that moment, we're going to like it here. We have found our home, and I always found it really important to give back, to help try to support that community vibe that we have going so strongly here.
Yes, it is. It's a very small town, but it's a very close-knit town. So that the size of it, I think, really contributes to its character in that it's so close-knit.
Yeah.
And so tagging right along with what you said about giving back, So you've been a Norfolk resident for 25 years, which is amazing.
Yes.
I'm at 20. I'm almost at 21, so I'm right behind you.
Wow, you're right
Yeah.
behind me. And see,
Yeah.
I think of you as being newer to town. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, you've got me by over 4 years. So, so yeah, we moved right here. This was our first house. We just came right here. So
Exciting,
we've
yeah.
been here even before we had kids. And before we were really
Yeah.
active and involved in the community, because we were commuting to work every day and at first, so we weren't actually in town as much. Now
Right.
I'm around. I'm always around. So Kim, what I wanted to just touch on before we circle back to your Duck Derby sponsorship is that you, having been a like sort of a beacon of the community for so long, tell me a little bit about your other sponsorship and your other involvement with other events. Just summarize, because I know that you were also involved with I think the Color Run, which I was part of, which is a PTO.
Yeah, I love that event. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I've been in Norfolk for a long time, as we had said. I was actually past president of the Norfolk Community League, so I definitely have an affinity, warm spot in my heart for the events that you all sponsor, because I know how hard the board members, especially, and the members of the league work. And I think it's one of the, between the Norfolk Lions and the different church associations, parent-teacher groups, and the Norfolk Community League, I think you guys are really the stewards of moving the community forward and kind of bringing everybody that sense of belonging and welcoming. And I've always felt about, especially the Community League, is that you can participate in any way that you want to participate, but it's a wonderful way to make relationships. And some of the best friends that I have people that I met through serving on the Community League, and we've just been friends for 20 plus years. So it's been wonderful. So I highly recommend to all my clients who move to Norfolk, because we do sell real estate, as you know. So when people move to Norfolk, I really talk to them a lot about the quality of life, what's wonderful about the town. And I always tell them to join the Norfolk Community League, whether you have children or not. Get involved. It's a great way to know what's happening in town. I've also was the chairperson of the Norfolk School Committee, the elementary school committee, for about 6 years.
Oh, I think.
And I'll tell you that, having been really the most challenging job that I ever had. At the same time, the most rewarding job that I ever had. So best professional development by far. And, after that, I was a short-term member of the Norfolk Lions, but it was around the time that I was starting up my business. So I thought I can't be a real dedicated lion and trying to start up my business, so I had to let that go. Right. I've served on the Capital Outlay Committee and as an associate member of the Council on Aging as well.
Oh, wow.
So yes, kind of tried to dip my toe into a variety of things. I have a great deal of respect for anybody who volunteers like yourself. Kendra, who's the president of the league now. It really is. It's a job. And I really appreciate all the efforts that you make. So I have had fun sponsoring your events, and we try to sponsor every event that you offer. I hope that we've been able to do that.
Yeah.
If I'm missing one, let me know. But yeah, we love the Color Fun Run. That's a blast. Again, to me, that's about the kids, and they come in and they're so excited. And usually we have a giveaway or something for them, and they're so appreciative. And to be amongst those young people and see how well served they are by the community, it's really a source of pride for me to see how well as a community we're doing to support their education and their growth. So that's very important. We always sponsor cultural events as well. I think that's really important. We're kind of out here in Norfolk, and so we like to offer, sponsor, do a concert every summer. We weren't able to do that. We usually do it in conjunction with the Franklin School of Performing Arts.
Okay.
Again, something that kind of brings the young people out. We weren't able to do that this year because the concerts on the Common, unfortunately, didn't happen due to the virus. And then I also sponsor cultural events with Franklin School of Performing Arts. Last year we brought some Broadway actors
Oh,
into Franklin. It was so exciting. We
wow.
did a Christmas tappy Christmas,
Okay.
and you could probably find it online. It was a blast. We had four actors from Broadway come to
Wow.
Franklin and do a few performances. So I love being able to be in the position of being able to kind of contribute to the community in those ways. We also, something that I'm very excited about this year, and I wasn't going to talk about it today, but I'm going to now because I want
Go
to
for it.
promote is we've always sponsored, local charities like the Norfolk Food Pantry, Medfield Food Pantry, Gilly's House in Rentham has been a charity that's been very close to my heart as well.
Yeah.
We also sponsor Habitat for Humanity,
Okay.
and then Coldwell Banker, which is the brokerage that I'm affiliated with, also sponsors charities that help place shelter dogs in
Oh,
homes. So
really?
we contribute to that. But what I'm really excited about now, you'll probably hear me talking a lot about this because it's very important to me, is that we now have an alliance with St. Jude's Hospital
Oh,
in
wow.
Tennessee. So a portion of all of my sales will be donated to St. Jude's Hospital.
Great.
And, I've always admired St. Jude's. We've always contributed to them as a family.
Mhm.
And now to have this opportunity and to be with an organization like Coldwell Banker that is, strategically making an effort to help serve these families. I mean, if you just go on their website, I mean, you won't leave without crying because I'll tell you, there's a lot of happy stories coming out, and I think hopefully our contributions will help to support families even more. I've had friends who've been touched by childhood cancer. A dear friend of mine lost her son last year at 16, and she got a lot of services from her community, and I want to be able to help people like her and her family, triumph over this disease.
Right. So that's phenomenal that so you have now a partnership directly with St. Jude's Research
That's
Hospital.
right.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'll be talking about a little bit more, in some of the, sometimes I do videos on my website, but I'll be talking about a little bit more and hopefully maybe on the local newspaper as well. But that's something that I'm proud to be able to do.
I'm sure. Well, congratulations on that
Thank
new
you.
endeavor. And yes, you've touched a lot. You've got a lot of a lot of directions that you go in terms of your community service and your sponsorship and you're definitely making an impact on this town. So we
Oh, thanks, Jill. As
we
are you. Yeah.
thank you. So before we wrap in a few minutes, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about a little bit about, let's say we've got someone who is looking to buy or sell in town or in surrounding towns. Tell us
Mhm.
a little bit about the Kim Williams team. I know you're affiliated, like you said, with Coldwell Banker, but
Yeah.
Kim Williams team and where to find you and how to contact you and a little bit about your services, please.
Oh, well, thanks for this opportunity.
Sure.
I've been in real estate now. I got into real estate kind of late in life, actually, having worked for some larger corporations, and then, like I said, doing some community service, and then took some time off as I raised my family as well. Although I hate to say taking time off. I guess my energy was spent on that. It definitely wasn't time off,
It was
but yeah.
unpaid work.
Yeah, there you go. But I got into real estate about 7 years ago. And again, I think because of the having met so many people through my work in the community, I got such an outpouring of support from Norfolk, especially.
Yeah.
It's always really touching for me when somebody calls me up to sell their home, or to me, the greatest honor is when someone says, my son or daughter is looking for a house. Can you help them
Oh,
out?
right. And so
That
passing,
really is it. That's,
yeah.
yeah, that's a real trust relationship you have. So, I feel like the community, I've given to the community, not really expecting much back, but I feel like the success of the business has been the way the community has been paying me back. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. So I'm going to continue to pay that forward as well in
That's
terms of supporting the community. Yeah, so, Norfolk continues to be a very desirable place to live.
Yeah.
You have a puppy there. My guy is like out. If I turn the camera, you'd see him at the door, like going, "Why aren't you letting me in?" But yeah, I think Norfolk's a great place to live. We also service the towns around us, like Millis and Medfield and Rentham. But our primary focus is Norfolk, Medfield, and Rentham.
Oh, Norfolk,
Sometimes
Medfield, Rentham are the three
it's
core.
just the area of focus. Of course, we'll go anywhere. I've helped people buy homes in Wisconsin, in
Oh,
Arkansas, in Los
wow.
Angeles, and
Have you really?
so
If they're moving from here out, you mean from here out?
yeah, we can help get them connected in that new community. But I wanted to be very focused on Norfolk. I feel like in order to be, really be able to advise the sellers and buyers properly, I think being able to focus on on communities that we know so well is really the best way that we can, offer up our expertise. So early in the process, I decided it was really, to me, more about service. How were we going to outservice other people, other agents that we were competing with? So that's when I formed a team, and we have professional photographers,
Oh,
videographers, people who operate drones, who do our staging. I mentioned Diane Crowley.
yeah.
She does all our staging for us. So I wanted to our almost boutique type of service to our clients. There's other organizations out there like Redfin, et cetera, that people are just really, you're just a number to these guys. It was more important to me to have a relationship with people,
And be
and I want
personalized.
exactly, so that where they feel like they're family. I would treat them just as well as and look after them just as well as I might a family member. And then to that end, I'm primarily sort of the project manager, sales manager, marketing manager. And then Janet McLaughlin,
Mm-hmm.
who many people in the community may know, she is our team concierge, our client service manager.
Okay.
So oftentimes, selling or buying a house is a very stressful process, as you probably remember. And other people, people have full-time jobs, and especially in this environment, they're trying to homeschool kids.
Right.
They're trying to work from home. So we kind of look at, okay, what can we take off of their plate? What can we take off the client's plate to make this a less stressful process?
Right.
And so we'll do a lot of the tasks that maybe other agents might ask you to do.
Do yourself.
So really, it's really about outservicing, managing the relationships, making sure that people have as stress-free a process as possible.
I see.
And so far, so good.
Yes, it sounds like, it seems like when you just said that you've only been selling real estate for 7 years, my goodness. You went from 0 to 100 really quickly because
again, and a lot of it, I have to say, is thanks to the community support that I got. It was really overwhelming. When I, let people know that I was in real estate, the responses that I got were just really heartwarming and personally very motivating.
Yeah.
Because I got into it thinking, oh, what, I'm old now. How am I going to do this? Can I start to do real estate? Though has always been an interest of mine ever since I was a little kid. I was that nerdy kid that was looking through the paper, seeing what was for sale, watching the real estate shows. We actually have our own real estate show now. If you want to check it out on Sundays at 1:00 on WCVB. And if it interferes with the football game, I guess we're broadcast on channel 38. So
okay. Oh, that's cool.
It's just the old-fashioned kind of real estate shows that I grew up with. That I was that nerd while other kids were watching cartoons on Saturday and Sunday mornings. I was watching the real estate channel. So it's always been a passion of mine.
Yeah, it's funny how kids have interests in. Like I've got my daughter has a friend who is so interested in planning vacations, and which of course is a
Love
direct
it.
benefit. And
Yeah.
she basically, now that we've given her the reins, this isn't my own child, but her friend,
Yeah.
they're like, but they're in charge of planning our, like, they find the flight, they find the best deals, they find the best, like, locations
That's
to go.
awesome.
Yeah, within
Yeah.
reason, within reason.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so cute that sometimes, you know, kids have those grown up
Right.
grown up interests when they're little.
Yeah.
So that's a great story, and I mean, a lot of great information, and I'm so I'm thrilled to hear a little bit more about, you know, that about the boutique, like those, like you said, the boutique style services that you can offer, that set you apart. So that is great to know, and we've got a little bit of construction going on for some reason right now, so I'm sorry for the
No
noise in
worries.
the background. But anyway, I think that, you know, I think we've been able to meet you, to hear about you, you know, hear about your community service, hear about your team, the Kim Williams team, and again, going back to this year's Duck Derby, you know, it's fantastic that you can do the platinum sponsorship again, even though it's a strange virtual version. And when you mentioned the summer concerts just now, the Norfolk, you know, the recreation summer concerts on the town hill, I was like, oh, well, we just have to wait until June. And June seems like a long way away, but I bet it'll pick up speed at some point, and it'll be coming up, and we'll get to have those concerts next summer, and
I think so.
we'll
Yeah.
appreciate next summer, spring and summer, more than ever.
I think so. We'll have a new appreciation when we finally come out of our houses and see our neighbors that we haven't seen for a while. It's going to be a happy day. And, you know, Norfolk Community Day, too. I can't wait for that for next year.
I
We're going to
know,
have to make that bigger and better for sure.
right?
Somebody had a sign on their lawn, and I loved it. And it said, home alone but together, or something like that. And
Yeah,
I thought that was wonderful. We'll get through it.
yes.
Just take care of each other and take care of our families. And you know, we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel soon.
I feel like we're starting to see it. Yes.
Yeah, for
It's right
sure.
there. There's the light, right behind me.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, that beautiful light. I mean, which your house is facing what? Probably facing.
So this is my back porch, and
Yeah,
the front of my house faces the I want to say east northeast. I,
yeah, it's beautiful light right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, but I come outside because I feel like the background, I don't know, it's how I've done a couple of my Zooms, but it also, you
Mhm.
got the more noise in the background. My husband decided that he was going to hammer on something while I was doing this, and so
Oh, I can't hear it.
anyway, so, well, thank you. I think this is great. You know, we got to know you, we got to know a little bit about your business, we got to know hear about your team, and we got to talk about the town of Norfolk, the wonderful
Yeah.
community in which we live. And I think that, as far as the Duck Derby goes, I know, like I said, I don't have all of exactly how it's going to look when they send out but they're going to compete. The ducks are going to compete.
I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the ducks are going to
We're
have their
getting a duck for my little niece.
right. Oh, so funny. Well, thank you again for, for
Thank
doing
you,
this
Jill.
interview today.
Thank you so much. It was nice to talk to you this morning.
Yes, and next time we do one, if you're next year another sponsorship or something else in the community, we'll do this in person in the NCTV in the
Yes.
studio, and it'll be normal, and we'll get to actually chat and not have to stare at a computer screen.
Yeah.
So we'll do it again. And so for on behalf of the Kim Williams team, and getting to chat this morning with Kim Williams herself, and thanks again for your involvement in the Duck Derby this year. And I know the Norfolk Community League is working hard to have events, have things go forward as much as they can. So we appreciate their efforts too.
Doing a great job.
Okay, Kim. Well, thanks again for the chat. And this is for NCTV. I'm Jill Lawrence, and we're signing off. And have a great weekend. Hello, everyone. welcome to NCTV and a little bit more about this year's 2020 Duck Derby, sponsored by Norfolk Community League. And with me is Katie Jefferson, who is the executive director of NCTV, and she has graciously accepted an offer to be interviewed to just talk really about what NCTV's, Norfolk Community Television's, role has been specifically in the Duck Derby this year. We'll start with that. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much, Jill, for having me.
Sure.
So NCL reached out to us this year to see if we could do a virtual Duck Derby for them, because normally they're in the pond, or the stream rather,
Yeah.
making sure everything goes right. So this year, Tom Vianos, our production coordinator, is working really hard to animate a Duck Derby. So it's a little twist on it this year. But it's been really cool. It's been a challenge for sure. It's not something that he does every day. So it's been fun. And he's done a really good job with it. So I'm excited for everybody to see it.
Yeah. So the Duck Derby, which obviously when people can watch this, they're going to be able to also watch the virtual version of it.
Yes.
That's right. I had thought that maybe they were able to do it without spectators too, but they decided to do it completely. So I thought the spectators were virtual, but that maybe the race was happening, but it's an entirely virtual Duck Derby.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they went for this year. But I guess it would be a little anticlimactic if they did it in the stream without anybody watching. That's half of the fun, is having people there cheering on their ducks.
Right, of course. Oh, that makes sense. And that's something that that I had heard. I just assumed that virtual meant kind of like how all of our sports, we're watching the sports and all the games, and NFL are all like being spectated virtually, but they're actually playing for real. So, all right, well, that's so cool. So that means that NCTV had to really innovate to figure out how to do a virtual Duck Derby. And tell us a little bit about that. Like, how did you guys figure that out?
Yeah, sure. So NCL had seen a couple of examples from other towns, so they sent us a couple of different videos that inspired them for this video. And then, we use Pixabay a lot, which is a free website where you can download graphics. So we kind of can get the building pieces from there. And then Tom throws everything into the editing software and keyframes each duck individually so they can move however they want, however Tom wants. But yeah, it was really cool. It just kind of came out of nowhere. But we're always up for a challenge, so we were excited to take it on.
Yeah, no, you are always up for a challenge, particularly when it involves problem solving with technology and with things that you haven't done before. I know you're very open about trying new things like that. So that is so cool. So these ducks are been sold like as per usual when they sell out to the townspeople, and then they each have numbers, and then I guess do you hit go, do you hit race, and then it's just a randomized online virtual derby race?
Yeah, so I think what NCL did was they picked the numbers ahead of time, so they must have done some sort of generated thing. So we got a list of the numbers and we can just plug in the names there. So the ducks themselves aren't numbered when they're racing, but it's signifying of the bigger race that usually happens.
Okay, and then they'll notify the winners because they have everybody's name matched up with the duck number.
Exactly.
Okay, so very exciting. So kudos to you and Tom for figuring all of that out.
Oh, thanks. Tom really gets all the kudos for this, though.
Yeah, but we couldn't get him to be interviewed because he's too busy and too busy with the Duck Derby detail. So, well, thank you for coming on. And you are our executive director, so you are an important person to speak about NCTV. So cool. So I know, so people are going to be able to watch see the virtual race, also see the interview with one of the main sponsors, Kim Williams, and then also see this little interview as well with you. And I thought that I know we're doing a brief hello, but before we wrap up, I wanted you to, if you don't mind, touch on the sort of COVID pandemic NCTV response, because it's the station has been closed since the middle of March. We hopefully, can start to work on a slow reopen, soon. But it has been closed because of the virus. And you guys have had to really, again, innovate and be flexible about bringing programming as well as the government meetings, et cetera. Do you want to touch on that, how you've handled that at the as the executive director?
Yeah, sure thing. So the first couple of months were definitely really hard to figure out how we needed to get everything done. But we're so lucky that we have such a great community. I think everyone's really been helpful and working together to make all of these things happen. So we worked really closely with Tan at the town hall, the IT director, to figure out how all the government meetings are going to go live and all that stuff. So that has been hugely helpful. We also have just worked with a bunch of different organizations. Like we filmed Exhale Dance. They had a socially distant
performance
recital. Yeah, couldn't think of the word.
Yeah.
Socially distant recital on Town Hill, and we were able to film it and live stream it for the families so that they could still get that done and still celebrate. And that's what it's been about, is about making sure that we can help the town celebrate all of the successes that are happening during COVID, even though it's just such a weird time overall. So figuring out how to, responsibly cover these things and also help with technology. So a lot of people were thrown for a loop when this all happened because they didn't necessarily know, how to work Zoom. And that was a big thing for a while, and how to create shows still, even though we're virtual like this, like using Zoom to create a show. It's been challenging, but, patience and Google is how we figured it all out.
Yes. Well, I know when I recorded a show in June, for the town, a town interest show of some kind, and you gave me, I remember thinking, how can I create a Zoom? as if I'm being asked to climb, to the top of Mount Everest. So sorry, we got someone walking through. So anyway, yes, as you showed me in June, and because I hadn't done one yet, I guess I'd been part of Zooms, but I hadn't created the Zoom. So it was really easy. And when I did it again recently, I was like, I can't believe that I ever thought this was difficult. So it's really, the unknown is always what stops people in their tracks, right? And I think that the pandemic has actually taught us that lesson.
Yeah.
However each individual decides to receive that lesson, but I do think that it has been we didn't know the word Zoom. I didn't know the word Zoom until later in March, right? The end of March 2020. Why would I have ever known that? And we were laughing about some of those things, like all these new words and things that we would have never known. Using Q-tips to touch a keypad at Walgreens. That's an interesting.
Oh.
Have you
Hadn't even heard of that one? No.
Oh yeah. You have a Q-tip, so you don't have to touch it with your fingers. So you put in your like if you have to put in your zip code or whatever you have to do, and then there's a dirty, like you throw it away, and then your fingers haven't touched it. Yeah. So that's really it's cool. Those things. Yeah. So anyway, back to the subject at hand. Thank you for having that flexibility and having that willingness to learn, and for you've kept some programming going, some great programming as the executive director for our local cable access. And also you have brought so many important meetings, whether they're select board, school committee, planning board, it goes on and on. You've brought them right onto people's laptops. And I know I've seen a lot of mentions in the last few months at how appreciative many groups are and many citizens are for doing that. So on behalf
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Sure. And this duck derby is such a cool idea. So we will tune in, right, to what it's going to be. I think it's going to be sent out to everybody via the Norfolk Community League, who is running the event. Okay, any last thoughts, Katie, that you can think of?
I just wanted to thank the Norfolk Community League for partnering with us in this, and especially like we did the candidates night this year as well. We're very thankful that we can be such a resource for the community league and for the community at large. And we're just happy to be here, happy to be part of the town.
Yeah. No, NCTV is a vital part of the town, and we have, and that is our vision, right? As as you and I are involved in the TV station. So okay, well, good. So thank you. Yes, thank you to NCL, Norfolk Community League, and thank you to Tom Varianos. Did I get that right? Varianos. He is your programming director.
Production coordinator.
Production coordinator, right. I always mix those two up. He's our production coordinator.
Yeah.
And he has really, been, had that innovative entrepreneurial spirit through this. So thank you to Tom. And also, lastly, thank you to you. Thanks to Katie Jefferson for being here and for being sort of helping and running the show there at NCTV.
Anytime.
Yeah. And on behalf of the Duck Derby and Norfolk Community League and NCTV, I'm Jill Lawrence, and thanks for watching. Go Ducks!